everybody. Back again with a little Austin Sports Weekend.
It's college football season.
It is college football time. We're going to finally do our little kickoff special here. We're
week one recap.
We're out of studio, but we're going to do a little week one recap and do our picks for week two. Hopefully, we'll be able to get back into the studio next week. We've had some busy times, a lot of stuff going on here the past few weeks, but we're finally back on again. But first thing we do, we are going to recap the top 15 ranked teams, the games they play every week, plus Tennessee. Tennessee happens to be inside the top 15.
So we're going to put let's just go ahead and jump on to that Tennessee.
We always cover Tennessee first. So let's jump right in.
That was a bludgeoning.
Tennessee, it was an FCS team, and they were favored, I think, by 38, which is fine. They beat them
by 66.
And
positives.
Most of the time, you can't take a lot away from a FCS game.
The positives is Nico looked sharp.
He threw for a Tennessee school record 314 yards in one half, and he didn't play the second half. That was 2 quarters. He had 314 yards.
Special teams has improved in a way.
We blocked a kick. We almost blocked 3 or 4 kicks. We blocked one, a little scoop of score. Dylan Sampson, I've been calling Dylan Sampson to be the monster forever now.
That's another positive. The running
124 yards rushing, 3 TDs. Nico had 3 TDs. Brew got 6 catches. Brazel got 6 catches. Squirrel White got a couple catches. Tight ends got catches. That was
one other positive. Joey Housel, his play calling improved.
It's amazing how your play calling improves when you've got an accurate passer. But yeah, honestly, just really though, Nico looks like a Heisman contender. It doesn't matter who you're playing. If you throw the throws he threw as accurate as he threw them, it doesn't matter what team's on the field. That was one of the best quarterback performances as your first home game. I don't know how you couldn't get any better than that. I don't think you could get much better than that. So that was actually pretty crazy. Favored by 38, won by 66. So
there's not many negatives to take out of this.
There's not a lot of negatives to take. The last his last series before halftime, there was a couple bad snaps and a little bit of disorganization there on his last drive. But you're
most of the half they looked absolutely flawless.
You're picking away from 314 yards, passing and 3 TDs
with 45 points.
With 45 points, 20 minutes into the game, it was 38, 35 to nothing. 20 minutes into the game. So what? You have to nitpick to find something bad.
Well,
time will tell if they're as good as they looked. But Nico
looks sensational.
Nico's got to be a Heisman candidate.
I kind of felt like coming into the game how they would look coming out of the gate, because I was just wondering how sharp he would be, and lo and behold, I was proven that he was pretty sharp.
Well, he's been the starting quarterback for 6 quarters now. Tennessee has outscored their opponents 80-0.
To be fair, though, that's against Iowa's offense last year, because Iowa's offense last year was bad.
Iowa's defense
was pretty good.
Was top 10.
Yeah, so
80-0. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just
get our hopes up.
Throwing it out there,
Get my hopes up.
Again, we'll talk Tennessee a little bit because there's one of the 2 ranked games this week coming up is Tennessee versus NC State. But we'll jump into that to a little bit. We'll go on down. We don't do them in order. We just sort of jump through the ranked games here.
Clemson and Georgia, this was a bludgeoning in the second half.
It was a really close game.
Until the second half
Until the second half. Halftime adjustments. Some people say there's no such thing as halftime adjustments.
Kirby Smart said halftime adjustments.
Halftime adjustments, and they end up winning 34-3. Either Georgia's defense is for real, which it probably is, or Clemson is bad on offense, which is probably for real too, because they've been wishy-washy.
I don't think there's any other way you can really say it, because Clemson's offense looks so just. Something was lacking. It was just like,
if you could have lost 34-17 against Georgia, that's respectable. But 34-3, you only get close enough to kick 1 field goal in 4 quarters.
That's bad offense. I'm starting to wonder.
Wishy-washy.
Remember Dabo's stubbornness when it comes to that transfer?
There's
portal?
no transfers on the team.
No transfer starters. So that can be a problem. He's too old school in his thinking at the moment.
Yeah, because you're going to lose some players to the transfer portal. So you're going to fill them with players that don't have experience.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's banking on, and that's what's killing Clemson in the past few years.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, we had Penn State, West Virginia.
Big game, James.
Big game, James. He always starts out good.
Yes,
he always starts out good. West Virginia's not a bad team, but they're not a Super Bowl team.
I've waited months to say that again.
34-12.
At least West Virginia put up 12 points instead of Clemson's 3, but still got overwhelmed through a good portion of the game.
Yeah. Let's see here. Our next one
is Texas.
Texas. We had, let's see who we played.
Yeah, it is Ohio State.
Ohio State. Yeah, Ohio
Sorry,
State's
I just got mixed up there in the middle of the day.
Texas is right after that. Ohio State played Akron.
It was a struggle bus in the first half.
That was a little concerning for me too. Normally with Akron, they should have won.
Normally when you go into the shoe, the Buckeye fans loud and ravenous.
They still won 52-6. I mean, they still drubbed them, but they were slow starting, and there's nothing wrong. Sometimes the first game of the year, you just don't have that motivation. It takes a little bit to get started. And your biggest improvement is from what? Game 1
to game 2.
To game 2. So I don't really have any concerns with Ohio State yet, even though it was not pretty.
I think Ryan Day can get this ship turned around quickly because
he
has
talent.
a 57-8 record as a head coach,
and they have talent. So maybe just not the motivation to play Akron. We had here's your Texas, Colorado State, Texas, 52.
Nothing.
That was a pretty good win.
Oh, Sarkisian's team got it together there.
They started out just a little slow too.
And then Texas got the horns rolling, if you know what I mean.
Just like Ohio State, they scored 52 at the end of the game. So again, I don't put a lot of stock in that. Colorado State is an FBS team though. They're not the best one, but
they're still in the FBS level.
They're still in the FBS. We had Ole Miss, Furman.
Jeez Louise.
This is how you do it.
Oh my God.
76.
Do you think Nico's was
nothing?
Good? You thought Nico's performance was good? Jackson Dart had 400 passing yards and 4 TDs in the first half against Furman.
That is very, 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 very good. What impresses me, honestly, more about Nico was his first start at home.
Jackson Dart's had a few years on.
Jackson Dart's got some experience, and he knows what's going on. But still, though, kudos. And they are the polar opposite of Clemson.
They rely on the portal too much.
Their team is all portal people. But if you can score 76 points with it, it's better than 3. I'd take 76 points over 3.
And speaking of struggle bus, Oregon.
Oh, my goodness. 24-14 over Idaho.
How could they just sink to this?
I don't know.
How could they struggle this badly against an FCS team?
Ranked that high, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not going to throw them completely under the bus, even though they're probably my biggest worry out of everybody that played, because they didn't find a way to turn it on at the end. If they would have turned it on at the end and scored 52, okay, but they didn't. They only scored 24 the entire game. Only won by 10. Again, your biggest improvement is between 1 and 2, so we'll see how they go. But they are my biggest question mark. We had Notre Dame at Texas A&M. Probably my biggest disappointment
would be
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. They kind of looked sluggish offensively throughout the whole game.
Their defense looked pretty good. Their fans were fantastic. That's a fantastic environment.
Kyle Field has always been one of those wild environments.
Yeah, and they had a chance to win and just couldn't
get the play.
Just couldn't do it.
And
Just
Notre
couldn't do it.
Dame made that play, and that's why they won.
And kudos to Notre Dame. The thing about this being big for Notre Dame is this is their biggest game of the season. Really, they'll be favored in every game here on out, probably.
They do have USC, which did pick up a big win this week.
Yeah,
But that's pretty much the biggest.
Notre Dame has a really good chance to make the playoffs now, because they can probably take 2 losses and still make the playoffs, because looks like the rest of the field is going to be a little so this may keep them in the playoffs. We had Michigan.
Kind of struggle around with Fresno State.
They struggled around a little bit too. Only scored, was it 30 points?
Yeah, 30. That's
30 over. Yeah, that's a little concerning too. But they lost 82 players and
their head
head coach. So they're a big question mark.
Yeah,
If
you
they're
just gotta
how
figure
we
out
don't know
what
how they're
Michigan
going to
is.
be. Well, they might end up being fantastic, and then they might end up being 8-4. We don't really know yet. It's a big question mark. We got our next top 15 game.
Alabama and Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky.
And Alabama did
63.
63-0 in Kalen DeBoer's debut.
Yep. They did what they needed to do.
That's pretty much.
That was impressive for a coach's first game. He had them focused, had them tuned in. They did what they're supposed to do. They didn't score 24 points. They scored in the 60s.
Yes, they did.
For the highest opening weekend for the SEC.
In terms of points scored.
In terms of points scored. There was 4 teams over 60, I think.
Yeah.
1 over 70.
Actually, Ole Miss was 76. Auburn was 73.
I forgot Auburn.
Arkansas is 70. Tennessee is 69. And Alabama was 63.
So 5 teams, and the low score was 63. That's some points, baby. I thought the SEC was known for their defense. What the crap?
We got offense.
We got some offense now. Let's see. Who else we got here inside
Florida State.
the top 15?
Oh, Florida State.
I forgot about Florida State.
They played Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland.
You want to go ahead and throw this out?
Yes, go ahead and throw that dumpster fire out.
We haven't done this in a while, but we want to bring this back again. This is our dumpster fire
of the week.
Week.
This is Seminole cover.
Florida State, dude. Florida State is a dumpster fire right now.
Right now, it is a mess.
What it was. I showed you something. Pentagon, hexagon, octagon, season gone. Florida State's season is over, dude. When you lose to Georgia Tech and Boston College your first 2 weeks, and you're ranked number 10,
their quarterback looks bad. Their coaching looks bad. Their defensive line can't stop the run.
I've actually heard people this week say they need to bench Ukulele.
DJU.
Yeah, DJU. I've heard high-level people say they need to bench him, that he does not fit their system. And I also heard that they picked him over Ward.
Which he went off for Miami this week.
So,
and let me tell you, Boston College, who was the head coach of Boston College in his first game?
Bill O'Brien, which is one of the worst NFL coaches in the history of NFL coaches.
Takes over Boston
College, and his first game beats Florida State in
Florida State.
Ew,
pretty much pantses them.
Ew. Looked bad. One more ranked game, one more top 15 game to talk about.
Let's go ahead and look at old Missouri. And Missouri and Utah pretty much covered their games pretty easily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about those. We had those on Thursday. Missouri 51-0. They trounced them. Utah 49-0. They trounced them.
And then we got USC and LSU, and USC pulls it out at the very end with a late touchdown.
That was disappointing for me for LSU too. They've lost 5 straight opening games. They've lost every one of Chip Kelly's opening games since he's been there. They can't. Of course, they're putting in good teams to play, but
BK, have it your way, Kelly. Brian Kelly.
I'm sort of disappointed. I was pulling for LSU in that one. I was, to be honest. I've got friends who like LSU, so I was sort of pulling for them a little bit. And that was sort of disappointing. LSU probably, they can still go on and have a fantastic year. They do every year, but man, losing that first game is a punch in your gut to start out the season. That sucks. So maybe they'll get it turned around. That should be all of our top 15 for this week. Let's jump into a few predictions. For week 2, we'll go ahead and start out. Let's let's save Tennessee for last. We've only got two top 25 matchups. We got Texas, Michigan.
That's going to be a big test for both
be a
teams.
good test against. I'm picking I'm picking Texas because I just don't know what Michigan is.
Texas has got a little more
Texas
experience,
scored 52.
and Michigan only scored 30, but can Michigan's defense handle Texas's offense?
I just don't think so. Well, the line right now is
Texas by 7.5.
Texas by 7.5. I'll probably take that to be honest. I think it's probably a 10-point. From what I've seen, again, it's early, but what I've seen with Michigan, the question marks with them, I've got probably Texas by 10. Let's see here. We got Penn State taking on Bowling Green.
Big game, James, is going to be.
That's a blowout. That's over. Let's see. Who is next here in our top 15? I can't see them too good. What's our...
That's 16.
Yeah.
And
our
then
next one is...
Tennessee Tech and Georgia.
Did you take Georgia?
What else do you want me to say about that? That just screams 50-point win.
That's at least a 35-point win. I don't even think there was a line on it. We got Northern Illinois, Notre Dame.
That's the same thing.
That's another 35, 40-point win.
Baylor and Utah, they got us a conference game.
A conference game. Yeah, because Baylor is in the
Big 12.
And so is
Utah.
Utah is too now. So, and honestly, nobody wants to go to Utah and play. That's not a good place to play.
Especially with the experience. Their head coach is very respected.
Yes. The line on that one is...
Kyle Whittingham's Utah Utes by 14.5 points.
I would probably take Utah.
And take the Utes.
I'd probably take Utah this early. See, the next top 15 is...
Middle Tennessee against Ole Miss.
I think the line on that was 43. I don't honestly... I mean, they won their first game 76 to nothing.
This might be 50 to nothing.
50, this is going to be 50-something to nothing. Kiffin's going to try to prove he's worth it every game. He ain't going to pull back. If he scored 70 last week, he's going to score 50.
70 again this week.
So,
Miami. Props to the Hurricanes.
Miami jumps up. Yeah, well, we didn't talk about Miami, Florida last week.
Because this was all over Gainesville.
Probably the second dumpster fire last week would have been Florida. That was sort of a letdown. Some people were actually thinking that Florida could get the upset here and actually have a decent season, even though the schedule is
horribly hard.
And that losing that game means they're going to have a 4-win season.
Pretty badly, might I add.
So Miami next week is going to play Florida A&M. That's another.
I'm kind of excited to talk about this one a little bit.
South Florida,
Alabama.
At Alabama.
Do you know who South Florida's head coach is?
Oh, who?
Alex Golesh.
Former offensive coordinator. The line's still pretty high. What is it there? 31?
31 for Alabama. So Alabama should win this game, but if Golesh and company pulls this one out, I'll give him a cup of tea.
Early in the season, I'm going to take South Florida plus 31 because Golesh knows how to beat Alabama.
It's like you have memories.
I remember it or something, you know. We got Buffalo, Missouri blowout. That's a 35-point win.
That should be at least 35 points.
Yeah.
And the spread says 34.5, so that's not far off.
That's not too far off. That's about 35. Let's see. Kansas is still each and outside the top 15.
Ohio State and Western Michigan should be another invitational to the show.
That'll be another 35 to 40-point win, yeah. We got
Houston and Oklahoma.
Houston, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's debut on the SEC network, I believe.
I think that'll be a pretty easy win for them, too. Houston's not the team that they were this year.
They just lost to UNLV by 20.
That's what I think. I think that's a 30-point game there, too. I think the line's 28. I think I'd take Oklahoma in that one.
Boise State and Oregon. Oregon has to show me something here.
Yeah, the line on this, 21, 22 points, I think.
They beat Idaho by 10. I don't know if I trust that.
No, I don't. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't touch that game until I see if Oregon is still the first week or if they're going to jump out and beat Oregon in week 2. I would probably stay away from that one. I think Oregon. Now, I definitely think Oregon wins it though.
And then we got Utah State and USC.
USC.
Lincoln Riley and company should take care of that.
I think that's our 25, 30-point win. Now, let's go ahead and jump into our Tennessee, NC State. It's supposed to be at NC State, but it's a neutral field. They're playing on the Carolina Panthers field, Bank of America.
They're still trying to wash the stench of last year out of there.
Yeah, so Tennessee's going to play there in Charlotte. The line opened up at 4.5, and at this point, it is up to 10. I'm still going to take Tennessee minus 10.
I do take Tennessee in this game. They did look better than NC State did.
I think it's between 13 to 18 points. I'm leaning towards 17 for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, like a feeling.
Like a 42 to 27 type game. That's 15. It might be 45 to 27.
Well, NC State didn't really impress against Western Carolina.
Their offensive line let their quarterback get chased around. They went into the fourth quarter losing to an FCS team 21-17. And then they rallied. They scored 21 points in the fourth quarter.
They kind of did what Oregon probably needed to do.
Concepcion, their sophomore wide receiver, he's going to be in the NFL. That's their main weapon. So, and Tennessee's DBs are still a question mark. We don't know for sure.
And they have a former, the Fancy Chickens all those years ago?
The Chanticleers.
The Grayson McCall, former Chanticleer, coming in for NC State.
Yeah. So there's a lot new. They got transfers. They got the new quarterback moving in. They lost their award-winning linebacker from last year. Is not there this year.
He's in the NFL probably.
He's in the NFL. So I think it could have been a closer game, but I'm picking Tennessee to score in the 40s and NC State to stay under 30. So go Vols. That is our our college football video for the week.
Grind of things after so long.
It is time for some sports. Yeah. We hope you had a little fun with us. Again, thanks for checking us out. With my man Austin here.
Check on into that Florida State fans if you want to.
Yeah, checking on your local Florida State fan, and just make sure they're okay. Cause it's been bad.
Yeah, it's just been rough.
It's been rough. But we're going to do an NFL video soon too, so be sure to check that out. Otherwise, we will see you
next week.